This is exactly how these three science-backed steps led to a 57-pound drop for our client Lamar. So if you are someone right now, you feel like you're just totally stuck and you hate cutting calories, you're not getting any results, and you only feel like you're looking softer and not looking like more chiseled, this video is for you, okay? So I'm gonna bring you through what is wrong with most diets nowadays, okay? Most of them fail, and it's actually a fact. It's a shame that this is a fact, but the failure rate is between 80 and 95% of people who lose weight gain it back. But I feel like we all know that it's not a secret. We know that most diets are overly restrictive, they're not sustainable, and they cause your metabolism to adapt to lower calories. So your metabolism doesn't break or not work or anything like that. But if you get your body used to burning thousands of calories with running and eating very little, you will metabolically adapt, and fat loss can actually be harder, okay? And notice how I didn't say weight loss, I said fat loss, because that's what matters the most. Now, let me break down three examples that really help the students that we have and the clients that we have understand why these things just do not work, why these strategies do not work. So example one, you have David, who's a busy president of a company. He frequently drinks, attends social get-togethers for business and for pleasure, and he's nearing the end of his career, and every strategy that he hears involves going to the gym 6 days a week and cutting out carbs. This would not work for someone like him. Example number two, Brian works at a financial institution. He has no problem eating less. He's actually like really good at under eating, and he cuts out sugar, he cuts out carbs, and he loses the weight, but he's not happy with the physique that he has after he already lost a large amount of weight. He noticed that he looks more soft instead of harder and more chiseled. And according to like modern strategies of getting rid of carbs, cutting out sugar, all that stuff, like there's no next steps for Brian, right? He's already done everything that the world has told him to do, and now he's just a smaller version of what he was before with no next steps, okay? So this is another reason why normal advice nowadays doesn't prepare you for the next step after you lose the weight, okay? And example number three, Jerry works in tech with long hours. He's very intelligent, so intelligent that he's basically self-educating himself through online research and finding that there's more than 100 ways to do this, right? And everywhere you turn on YouTube, it's information overload with every single doctor telling you exactly what to do this, and they're all contradicting each other, and it's a very overwhelming thing. If only he had the courage to reach out to help, he would have shortcutted this entire process. And instead of it taking him years to get his dream physique, he could have had it in 6 months, okay? So what I want to explain to you on this video is, who am I, right? Like now, before we continue, I want to explain who I am. So I started my online fitness business, Built Bodies, and we help men drop stubborn fat, keep it off long-term, and build muscle. We specialize in transformations. We do not specialize in weight loss goals, okay? That is the biggest difference between us and the other coaching companies out there. Obviously, there's many other things that separate us, but that's one of the biggest things that we focus on is transformations, not just weight loss, okay? So I started this business around 8 years ago at this point, Built Bodies Coaching, and I've gone through my own transformation. I originally started down this career path because I grew up a very chunky kid. I grew up in a Latino household and a Jewish household, which is very weird combination there. Most people don't really see that combo too much, but nonetheless, our entire culture revolved around food. Every family party revolved around food. There was never any shortage of it, and definitely a lot of body shaming too. Okay? Anyone who knows Latinos know that they call each other gordo, gorda, and they basically kind of kid and insult each other, but at the same time, when you grow up in this household, it really changes your perception of your body and your view with food, your relationship with food. And that's what I grew up with. Okay. I grew up with a very altered relationship with food. And as you can see, I've, been different sizes. And this picture right here is actually 240 pounds. This picture right here was at the end of a pretty long cut, and I was 192 pounds right here, okay? And then I have been an educator online in the fitness space for about 10 years now, okay? I've helped thousands of guys accomplish dream transformations and everything, and now I educate people online just to help them get started within their fitness journey. In full transparency, like no BS here, best case scenario from you watching any of my content is hopefully we get to work with each other one day, because we provide such an amazing service that I will always go to bat for our service. So hopefully you do end up working with us today. But at the very minimum, you at least get educated on how to do this on your own with a science-backed approach that you can 100% trust, okay? Those are the two basically options, okay? And many people do work with us, but we don't have thousands and thousands of clients, okay? We have a pretty tight-knit roster. And again, at the very minimum, you at least get this information for free to start off on your own, okay? Now, I want to be very clear. Who is this video for, okay? We definitely do not work with everyone. We're not everyone's cup of tea. The people that we love working with is people who have tried strategies before us, because we're not here to convince you macros, okay? We're not here to convince you that you need to go to the gym. Like, this is already for guys that have been showing up to the gym and they're just not seeing results. So where we kind of come in is we like to work with men, over the ages of 35 specifically. And what we do is we help them really shortcut the amount of time it takes for them to get to their goal, okay? And the reason why we can do that is because we check off all the boxes from day one, instead of maybe you have the gym part down but you don't have the nutrition, or you have the nutrition down but you don't have the workout part down, you don't have the sleep part down but you do have the nutrition. There's a lot of missing links that most guys come to us having, okay? Like Brian was already attending the gym. Lamar was already working out like somewhat regularly. Max was going to the gym 6 or 7 days per week at this point on the left, okay? And how we got him much leaner is by refining everything, taking some gym sessions away, and actually dialing down all the other details too. Same thing with Nadim here. Nadim's a surgeon from New York. He was already watching what he was eating, eating healthy, but he wasn't following macros. He wasn't being very specific with how he was approaching his fitness. And that's really who this video is for. If you haven't worked out the details as to why you're not getting your body to change, this will tell you exactly what you're missing, okay? Now, there's 3 main reasons why men are struggling that we usually find. And the reason number 1 is the one that we see the most often, is that you're eating like you're 25, not 45, okay? Now, the reason I say that most diets are built for younger guys is mainly because they have less weight to lose, okay? The older you get, the easier it is for you to gain weight over time. Like, we all can kind of put that together, right? And most of the time, when you're in your 20s, you can lose 5 to 10 pounds and be ready for a beach vacation. But you multiply that number by 4 or 5 now you're 20, 30, 40 plus pounds away from that dream bod that you want. So you can no longer rely on those quick fixes anymore. You have to rely on strategies that are sustainable and that you can really see your body composition change over time. Reason number 2 is that most guys are doing more cardio instead of building muscle. I definitely blame this on the idea that, sometimes guys believe that building muscle is dangerous in a way. In fact, I would actually argue that doing too much cardio is dangerous, okay? Things like running, things like getting on the treadmill and doing hours and hours and hours of repetitive movements is one of the most damaging things that you can do for your joints, your ligaments, and no one ever freaking talks about that. So instead of burning through all your muscle and adapting your metabolism to all this extra cardio, we approach it a totally different way. And we actually find that this way gives you a much softer look because of how much muscle you're burning through. And reason number 3 why a lot of guys struggle is that you think you have to give up the things that you love. And in this video, I will actually show you a meal plan that includes whiskey and wine so that you can see exactly what this looks like for you. And it'll be a total game changer, I promise you, okay? You can still have tequila, whiskey, wine, and lose fat. You just have to know how to incorporate it into your plan, all right? Now, there's really 4 phases that a successful fat loss transformation goes, okay? And this is what we've refined over the last 10 years. So if there's ever if there's a point in this video that you pay attention and write shit down, this is it right here. Because why would you experiment on yourself for the next 10 years when you can literally just take our roadmap right here and understand exactly how to do it on your own, okay? So the very first step of this process is what's called a metabolic priming phase, okay? This process is something that we've done with every single client that comes into our program, and it takes a different amount of time for every single client. Sometimes it takes around 2 weeks or so. Other times it takes a month or 2. And what we're trying to do is basically get your body at a base level so that we can prepare it for a fat loss phase, okay? So metabolic priming basically involves us getting on macros, which are proteins, carbs, and fats, building muscle, getting rid of all the cardio that you're currently doing right now. And what this does is it allows us to build a baseline. Once we have that baseline and we know exactly what numbers we need to change to deliver a specific result for you, it becomes effortless for us to get you 15, 20, 30 pounds down. And then we'll work around all the other things and components in your life that actually we need to specify things around. Okay. Things like, your work schedule, it's specific to you. Your social life, specific to you. Vacation, specific to you. Going out to dinner, specific to you. Those things are worked on the most in the metabolic priming phase. And this basically involves us increasing calories so that you're not falling off on the weekend and eating more. So metabolic priming helps us get you consistent so that we can deliver really consistent results within your fat loss phase. Without a phase like this, you're going to be able to lose the weight no problem, but it will be damn near impossible with an 80 to 95% failure rate for you to keep the weight off. So that's why we do this first. A fat loss phase is exactly what it sounds like, but I want to be very, very specific with this. It doesn't say weight loss there. It says fat loss, okay? Now, does weight loss usually come as a byproduct of losing fat? Yes, okay? It's definitely a safe assumption to make, but if you are just focusing on weight loss, it's a much different transformation physically and body composition wise than most people think. If I lose 20 pounds and I lose 10 pounds of muscle, I will look very different. And I'll show you examples of this with our clients later so that you can see really what this is about. In fact, if we zoom out here and we go back to some of these transformations here, if we would just focus on weight, we would not have this amount of muscle definition on our transformations. You can see clear lat growth here. You can see clear abdominal definition, shoulders here, Max in his chest, abs, Lamar, all of these clients right here are perfect examples of what this process looks like when you make sure to keep your body composition in mind, okay? Now, with the fat loss phase here, let's see here. Sorry, had to go ahead and fix that presentation mode here. So then this leads us to phase 3. Okay, now phase 3 is what's called a reverse dieting phase. Now, the reason why you approach this with certain phases because after every phase, there's another problem to solve. Okay, and this is normal to a lot of things, but people don't think that this applies to their fitness for some reason. Once you lose 20 to 30 pounds, you are going to be drastically more hungry and your energy is going to be a lot lower. Hence why the failure rate in America for diets is actually 80 to 95%. So we incorporate what's called a reverse diet, and it basically allows your body to eat more food and get your metabolism faster. But this is not just some marketing tactic or gimmick or word or whatever. This is a strategic approach. So after you finish a fat loss phase, we bump calories up so that you maintain your weight. Okay, so now that you've lost 20 pounds, let's say you started with us at 220 pounds, now you're 200. We want to make 200 your new normal, okay? So after a couple weeks of maintenance calories, what we'll do is we'll then start increasing carbs. As we increase carbs, you're going to have more energy, you're going to hit more PRs in the gym, you're going to build more muscle, which will then make your metabolism even faster. And as we increase calories over time, your body's going to start burning more calories over time too. And not many people know this, but the more food you eat, the more calories you burn, okay? This does not mean that you can eat endless amounts of food, but it does account for some part of your total daily energy expenditure, which no one ever talks about, okay? And if you haven't heard a lot of these things, think about anywhere you look. You go into a gym, like 9 out of 10 people don't have your dream body. Only a select few do. So what are those select few people doing, okay, that will allow them to have this dream body? And again, success leaves clues, okay? I'm giving you exactly the roadmap that I personally follow anytime that I ever want to drop body fat or retain muscle. And I've been doing this for 11 years now. I've been coaching for going on 8 to 9 years now. And we've done this through thousands and thousands and thousands of client transformations already. And between the experience of just me and the team in general, it's over 30 years of experience. So please don't try and reinvent the wheel on your own. It is not worth your time trying to figure it all out. This strategy does work if you follow it correctly. And then the last phase that we usually like to go through is a lifestyle phase. Now, a lifestyle phase is where we kind of get away from the granular tracking of how everything works. And we get more into mindful eating, okay, and intuitive eating, all right? So we get away from tracking as rigidly and we start trying to have more of a balanced approach so that you can get away from being super granular with the numbers. Now, just to give you an example, I go through a lifestyle phase every year at the end of the year. I have Christmas, Hanukkah, traveling at the end of the year, normally in December and in the new year. And that's normally where I take a little bit of a step back from tracking my calories and macros, okay? And the lifestyle phase has taught me sustainability and flexibility. And when you get back from those trips or vacations or whatever, you can just use the skills that you now have from going through the first 3 phases on doing it your own, okay? So what I'd like to explain to you is how this actually works, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through a meal plan that includes whiskey and then one that includes wine, okay? So this is exactly how it works and how we would do this with our clients, all right? So we have meal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have our drinks, okay? So we include the whiskey in terms of just tracking the calories here, and it's a 2,100-ish calorie meal plan, okay? This is basically the same calories that I followed and the same macros that I followed for my entire fat loss phase that I just recently lost 10 pounds with over the last 11 weeks, okay? Now, I could have lost more. I didn't really want to lose more. I just wanted to do a little bit of a cleanup phase, and that's why my calories were this way. Please don't try and copy my calories and macros. We can work on a specific plan for you if you want, but again, this is specific to me. If you want to try this on your own and your calories do fall within this range, that's totally fine. But again, I'm just showing you for reference how exactly I would include whiskey in my diet, without it making me fall off track, okay? So you can see that we have the calories, the proteins, carbs, and fats. So all of the food items that we have here in this meal plan, they are they all fit into my calorie goal for the day. And since I just included a 2-ounce shot of whiskey here, it was estimated at 140 calories or so, it falls within my plan. And you may be asking yourself, will I still get the same results? Yes, you will. I definitely don't recommend drinking every single freaking day, but this allows me to feel less guilty about including alcohol in my diet. Same thing with wine. This has 2 glasses of wine included. So you can see for 2 glasses of wine, it's 250 calories, okay? So that's accounted in this 2,100 calorie meal plan, so it's okay. I will still lose weight drinking wine and hitting this calorie goal, and it's proven by science to work, okay? Just because I had 2 glasses of wine in a day doesn't mean that fat loss like automatically stops, okay? We know that a calorie deficit is the most important thing when it comes to weight loss, okay? Now, when it comes to fat loss, this is where we have to get very granular with proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, okay? So this is exactly how it works, okay? You might have been wondering this the entire time, like, how do people drink alcohol and get in shape? I drink regularly, at least once, sometimes twice a weekend. I don't get too crazy every single month. Maybe like once every couple months, I will go absolutely crazy and have a lot of fun. But this is really how it works, okay? It's as simple as this. Now, you can download both of these below as a reference and a guide for you to use this on your own, so you know exactly how to include this. And what about eating out on the go? One of the things that we introduced with our clients very long ago is a fast food guide. So let me show you and give you some examples here about how this process actually works, okay? So let's say you go to Starbucks or you go to, let's say, Chipotle. We have our top 3 macro-friendly options that are on these menus. You can also download this below. We're going to give it to you for free because this will just genuinely help you make better decisions on the go. And most people that are trying to get in shape, they totally rule these options out. Like they think it's just, okay, I can't go to McDonald's anymore because it's not healthy. I can't do it, right? Now, is McDonald's the healthiest place in the world? No, I definitely don't recommend eating it any day. But sometimes out of convenience, maybe you're at the airport, you don't know what to eat. You can still go to McDonald's and get not the healthiest option, but you're getting a pretty macro-friendly option that will at least like do for that day, okay? And that's really the biggest point with this is that there's so many situations that meal plans cannot prepare you for, and that's why we give our clients these options to choose on the go. So you can download this below, have that, keep it in your notes section or book section inside your phone. It'll come in handy at one point, okay? So I want to talk about a couple things here. Why we, like what tools we use to ensure success, all right? And one of the first things that we'll talk about is macros, okay? So you've probably heard this word before, and here's what it is: proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Now, macros make up the composition of our food, okay? So, for example, peanut butter is primarily a fat source, okay? It has mostly fats, and it has some protein, and it has some carbohydrates, okay? Now, why would we track macros instead of just calories, okay? Tracking calories, doesn't take into account of what nutrients you're getting from the food that you eat, and this is crucial for giving you the shape that you want. For example, if you had 2,000 calories of guacamole and you had 2,000 calories of proteins, carbs, and fats split between certain ratios, you'd have a much different physique, right? Because one would allow you to recover, build muscle, have proper energy, have enough fats to support your hormone function. The other one would just have fats. So you wouldn't have the protein that you need to recover. You wouldn't have the carbs for energy, but you definitely have the fats, right? So that's why the macro ratio is very, very important, okay? Also, the FDA allows up to a 20% margin of error on calorie number listed on the label. So it's actually more spot on if you track your macros. Now, we teach our clients not to eat clean all the time because we know it's not realistic and it's also not necessary. So Joey here is specifically someone that I wanted to pull up because he had been traveling so much during our time working together, okay? He's still a part of the team today, and he was able to lose more than 20 pounds during this transformation. You can see he was already in good shape, but he wanted to get really lean for summer. And he had traveled to Florida several times during this time. He had also had so many family members visiting him, okay? And instead of just totally falling off track and calling it quits and throwing in the towel, We were able to review menus for him, give him macros that allowed him to be a little bit more flexible. And through our one-on-one coaching approach, we're able to give him the support he needs in order to get results. Okay. We don't expect our clients to eat clean all the time because it's just not realistic at all. Now, why we lift weights instead of prioritizing cardio is super simple, okay? Take a look at this picture of Steven. Steven was already doing a lot of cardio, but not really lifting too much on the left. On the right, he had been lifting for 9 months with a plan that we created for him, okay? Not only does lifting change the shape of your body, like look at Steven's pecs. Steven's pecs, arms, shoulders, traps look very, very different. And not to mention his abdominals are way more pronounced in this photo as well. He even says, like, body composition wise, he hasn't seen his body look like this. He has more muscle now and he's at a much lower body fat. Okay. Now this transformation didn't take a month. It took 9 months total, but building muscle will ultimately burn more calories at rest. And the reason I compare it to like investing your money over time is because over time, your money is going to start working for you, whether it's in a 401k or a brokerage account. If you're investing it over time, it'll start working for you, right? Cardio is like living paycheck to paycheck because when you stop doing your cardio, if you're reliant on that strategy, you'll probably just start gaining weight over time because you're using that as your crutch to keep calories off, to burn calories. But the problem with it is that it's not building your body either, okay? It's just making a softer version of yourself for most guys, and they usually stay away from weights because they think that they're going to get hurt. But we use a lot of machines and a combination of some free weights in order to deliver a little bit of a safer experience for our clients. And a lot of people think, and they believe in the myth that like free weights are much more dangerous than machines are. And they think that free weights are more effective than machines. It's not true, okay? Researchers have found no difference in results between machines and free weights. So you have nothing to worry about there, okay? Now, I want you to grab the downloads below, the fast food guide, the meal plans. They will be super, super useful for you. I will just email them over. That's the only way that I can deliver you those meal plans and everything like that. And I hope that it is extremely helpful for you, okay? If you're at it, go at it with a team to help you and tell you exactly what to do, then book a call with us. If not, feel free to watch this other video that we have on our channel that's going to be super useful for you and accomplishing the next goal that you're going to be working towards, okay? Click subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Leave a thumbs up or drop a comment if you have a question, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks. Bye.